decide to move towards either more closed or streamlined systems, what sorts of systems? I don't know whether you can comment on yours specifically, but yeah, either like the Prodigy or other systems of that type. I know like there's the ones that tend to be popular in academic labs may not be the same ones that say Novartis might use in their commercial production, but whatever perspective you have.
Yeah, I think part of it, what system people use tends to be kind of what system was there to start. So for the bigger centers that have kind of been involved in cell therapy for a while now, that they kind of created things like the wave reactor, and like the big giant bag, and there are other things like the G-Rex system, which were adopted a little bit later on. So those things I think tend to be more common just because that's kind of what was established in the workflow. As newer centers come online and start getting involved in GMP manufacturing, I think systems like the Prodigy, more of the closed system where you just kind of input cells and virus and you get CAR T cells or whatever in the end, are more appealing because to do a GMP facility, you're talking $40 to $50 million, whereas you could do smaller closed systems that don't require as much and get a GMP facility up and running. But in doing that, you're somewhat limited and restrained by what resources and reagents are available for that system. So the nice thing, if you kind of put more of the upfront investment into a larger GMP facility, you can actually create your own manufacturing system and tailor it as you'd like. Whereas with things like the Prodigy, you're limited by what reagents companies like Miltenyi will provide. And so you're kind of stuck within whatever manufacturing model they're giving you. But it is an easy way to get things up and running much faster and at lower cost. So I'm not sure if it really. I think manufacturing people used to harp on this a lot more. It took companies like Novartis a long time. Like in a lot of the earlier studies for these CAR T cells, manufacturing was actually a huge barrier, and that's what limited enrollment. So you just could not manufacture cells fast enough, or your success rate was low, and that took time to optimize. So for each product, you're going to probably have to come up with whatever system you come up with for the situation that you're doing in, and then the upscaling is probably going to take another hit in terms of efficacy and working through the workload for that to make sure that you're able to produce what you need to produce as fast as you need to produce it.
Got it. So it sounds like once you have a GMP facility in place with either wave reactor or other sort of more popular cell therapy, like individual step type systems, once you have that in place, you didn't make it sound like it's a big challenge to use them once you have that set up. It's just the upfront costs in your view?
It's the upfront cost, but you do need some level of expertise. You need a director to run it, to generate the SOPs, to people kind of have a general idea of how to build these things and how to do manufacturing, but it's not like once you have a GMP facility, all of a sudden all these robots do it for you. So I think the next phase that's a little bit more difficult is just getting the skilled labor force in there to be able to do it and to do it reproducibly. And there aren't that many people in the country who can do it successfully.
Yep.
They're like the Bruce Levines from Penn. There are only so many of those, and there was a big reason why Novartis had a hard time. It wasn't easy to go from academic manufacturing to commercial manufacturing, and why Kite spent so much time working with the NCI and building their manufacturing facility to get something that actually produces what they want to produce. So you can have the facilities, but you also need the means and the know-how to actually be able to produce things again and again and again. And that's probably another like 6 months to a year of process development with somebody who has experience in doing it. And like for the things we're looking at doing, we're in months, probably 6 months to a year in advance. We're already talking to our manufacturing collaborations to start doing test runs with not necessarily GMP grade, but more research grade reagents to test out whatever process we're thinking of using to make sure that's optimized when we actually do get patient samples and GMP grade plasma that cost much more.
Got it. Okay, well, unless you have other thoughts on that manufacturing workflow, I guess I've got a couple other questions that could change gears a bit.